I'd like to welcome you all. It's really a pleasure to be hosting the Sea Change workshop. I'd like to request that you all please stay on mute for about the next 15 to 20 minutes during the workshop, and we'll end with a Q&A session where I'd love to answer your questions. As you can see, for all of you that's joined, we are recording this meeting so we can share it with the people who can't attend. So if you're not comfortable being recorded, please let us know in the comments and we'll make sure to edit you out. So your comment or your questions at the end. And I guess I'll start because we are 5 minutes past time, which is about on time in India. So do you know that we actually have microplastic in our brains? A recent study done, published in February, and a brilliant New York Times article, which Louise will share in the chat, estimated that we could have about 5 bottle caps worth of plastic in our brains. This is about 7 grams. And what was shocking is that they found higher concentrations of microplastic in brains with neurodegenerative diseases like dementia. And so while there's not a direct correlation yet, they're seeing that plastics are in our brains and there's larger amounts, larger concentrations in plastics where our brains don't work so well. Globally, we're producing a lot of plastic. It's estimated that we produce about a large school bus every 3 seconds. Another school bus, another school bus. And this is a huge amount of plastic and something we're deeply passionate about at WasteLess, educating the next generation. My name is Ribhu Vohra. I'm the co-founder. I'm also a National Geographic explorer, and I'm really passionate about bridging the gap between the latest science and how children feel about these important global issues. Welcome, Prashant and Patricia. So nice you joined. We're recording the meeting and request you stay on mute for the next 15 minutes. I'd like to ask a question, and I'd like you to all to write in the chat. Which of you, who of you in the group attending today live close to the ocean? Who lives close to the ocean? You can raise your hand or write in the chat. Louise lives close to the ocean. Yes, she's opposite me in my desk right now. Ellie lives close to the ocean. Fantastic. Sweya, how far are you from the ocean? Lisbeth is close to the ocean. Not so close. Couple of hours. Okay. And those of you that are not close to the ocean, Prashant Tiwari, great that you live close to the ocean as well. Thank you for answering. Those of you who are close to the ocean or who go to the ocean sometimes, when you walk up to the sea and you stand there next to it, what do you feel? Please answer that in the chat. When you go close to the ocean. Kalpana, you're also close to the ocean. Thank you for raising your hand. Of course, you're in Mumbai. But when you go close to the ocean, what do you feel? What does it feel in your body? What is the feeling of being close to the ocean? Please answer in the chat. All right, Ellie is saying she feels fresh, like taking a deep breath. Prashant, you're saying you feel calm, at peace, one with nature and myself. Louise, yeah, instantly happy. That's something I feel too when I'm by the ocean, and calm. That's something so, yeah, Julian, absolutely. That vastness of the ocean. I think that's what I see. I was just talking to my kids about it, and that's the first thing they see, the openness and that vast space is really, really beautiful. So I think these feelings that we have about the ocean are universal. We love the ocean. And I think that's why we chose to talk about plastic pollution with the ocean. And there's a lot of misconceptions. So we often feel that if we clean up all the plastic we see, or if we put all the plastic in the bin, we do our responsibility. We've solved the problem. But if you look at this picture, and if you take away all the plastic that you see here, this is a reflection question from lesson 1, would you solve the problem? No. And this is quite interesting because plastic doesn't stay plastic. Actually, big pieces of plastic start to break into smaller pieces. So this bottle, these two bottles, won't stay these two bottles forever. With nature, they start to break down into smaller and smaller pieces. This is plastic that we collected together with a filmmaker and some students, and it was plastic from the ocean. But if you look at the bottom, you can kind of see little bits, tiny little specks of plastic. And so this is exactly what happens in the ocean. Big pieces of plastic start to break into smaller pieces. And this is another learning board from Sea Change. But what you see here is a plastic bottle in the sea, and it's these effects of sunlight. So ultraviolet radiation breaks plastic down into smaller and smaller pieces, and then mechanical action, the motion of the ocean, wind, and waves kind of break that plastic down into smaller and smaller pieces. And microplastic is classified at anything less than 5 millimeters long. So about half a centimeter, and they range to an almost invisible dot. And so very similar to what we have, we all know about is a water cycle, we now have something quite scary. So the water cycle we all know about, the sunlight heats water, it evaporates, condenses into clouds, falls down in rain, and connects the beautiful planet with all the water that we need. And it's brilliant. But now with all this microplastic, how we frame the curriculum for Sea Change is that we actually have a microplastic cycle. So the plastic that we throw away is coming back to us. And as I just told you before, it's coming back to us and it's getting lodged in our brains. And so really, this is a huge concern globally, and something that the New York Times picked up with this latest study, and it's really, really timely, and that's why we also wanted to do this workshop. I'm a co-founder of WasteLess. WasteLess is a non-profit based in Oroville, South India. It's in Tamil Nadu. And basically, our goal is to inspire and empower children through education. And so we develop powerful learning materials for students. And till now, our learning materials have spread quite far. We've reached 4.1 million children, and it feels like we're just getting started. And what we always try to do is push the boundaries of what's possible. We're trying to innovate within this space of environmental education. And so now I'd like to show you a short film from Sea Change. Sea Change is a new curriculum we developed, an innovative curriculum about plastic in the ocean. It was funded in part by National Geographic Society, and right now at this stage, we're scaling it to students all across India. And so this film was a stop motion film filmed by a young Kerala filmmaker. And I'm really proud because the voiceover is it's Mohini, an Oroville student. And she was one of our first garbology students 13 years ago. And she's super passionate about waste and all things. So she was really excited about sharing. So here, the film is 4 minutes and talks about, it's from lesson 3. So I'd like to show it to you. I hope the audio works.
70% of the Earth, which means a large number of marine species live under the surface. From the massive blue whale, the largest mammal on Earth, to smaller creatures such as dolphins, fish, and even teeny tiny bacteria. The deep blue ocean binds them all together, making it a home unlike any other. Every member of the ocean family plays an equally important role. And sometimes the biggest help of all comes from the smallest of heroes. Meet plankton. These beings are so tiny that you need a microscope to see most of them. But did you know that plankton have superpowers? Let's have a look. These tiny little creatures supply us with almost half of the oxygen we need. Take 2 deep breaths with me. One of those breaths was made in the ocean, all thanks to plankton. They're also the base of the ocean's food chain, keeping everyone's belly full, including ours. But wait, now there's a new guy in town pretending to be plankton and slowly tricking all the fish and their friends. Microplastic. When large pieces of plastic are thrown into the ocean or carried in by rivers or rain, the rays of the sun, the wind, and the waves break them down into smaller pieces, called microplastic. Microplastics are tiny pieces of plastic that are less than 5 millimeters long, which means they range from the size of a grain of rice to an almost invisible dot. Microplastics are now found in every part of the ocean, including where plankton live. They begin to attract algae on their surface, slowly changing color, and sneakily begin to hide amongst the plankton. Algae also smells like plankton, causing the microplastic to have the exact same scent. Can you spot the difference? Neither can fish. The confused fish, unable to see the trickery of the microplastic, accidentally end up eating them. Microplastics act like magnets for all toxic chemicals that are dumped in the ocean. So the fish end up eating a little bit of poison with every bite. Pesky little microplastic. So what can we do to help our underwater friends? We can say no thank you to plastic we use just once, such as plastic bags and food wrappers. They might be used for only a few minutes to hours, but can exist in the environment for hundreds of years. So it all leads back to what we put in the ocean in the first place. Become a change maker and proudly share the magic of the ocean with all your friends. We know more about space than what's underneath the surface of our ocean. It's a universe of its own, filled with magical alien-like creatures we haven't even named yet. We owe it to the coming generations to keep the ocean clean, so that they can explore what we couldn't. Let's dream and create a thriving and healthy ocean for all living creatures. Healthy ocean, healthy us.
So that was Microplastic Mayhem, and really highlights. Thank you, Julian. It highlights the need for us to break that microplastic cycle. And so what can you do? And I think this is where Louise was kind of motivating me and saying, what can we tell our audience? What can they do? And I said, why don't we tell them exactly what we tell students? And we can easily do many things. We can start using a stainless steel bottle. We can take a cloth bag. You can even use stainless steel straws. And for food and drink, to avoid ingesting plastics, we can use things like stainless steel, glass, or ceramics. And it's really, really easy. Part of teaching children about these important issues is telling them things that are quite common sense. And one of the things children often come to is that we should reduce single-use plastic, the plastic we use just once. And that's really, really key with the science, because 50% of all the plastic used globally is just single-use plastic. So that's a great place to start. And another thing that really inspired students was microplastic. And we wanted to give students a feeling, something kinesthetic about microplastic. And so we asked these principals and teachers, can we take students to the beach? Lots of them lived close to the sea, but unfortunately there's such large class sizes that we couldn't do it safely. So we wanted to give that experience to students. And one of the scientists, he's actually from the US, called Marcus Ericsson, brilliant scientist who we interviewed for the program, told me, why don't we filter microplastic cosmetics with micro beads? These are exfoliating beads. Filter them through a cheesecloth. So this is kind of what we do in lesson 2. We take some face wash and we filter it through a cheesecloth. And students love this because they could feel man-made microplastic. These are intentionally added as an exfoliant to kind of rub away dead skin cells. And what they did is they went home and started filtering everything. Mum shampoo, face cream, dishwash liquid, whatever they could find, they started filtering. And they came back to us during the pilot test and they said they were disappointed they didn't find microbeads. And so we went back to Marcus and lots of the scientists. And one of our partner organizations called Plastic. One of our partner organizations made Beat the Bead, a brilliant app. Louise will send the app in the chat. But basically what you can do is you can take anything cosmetic, and I would urge you to do that today. You can download the app and you take a picture of the back of anything cosmetic. So like a face wash, a shampoo, toothpaste, where the ingredients are, take a picture, crop it, and upload it into the app. And it'll tell you if something has microplastic. For example, this was a face wash that I had at home that had microplastic in it. And it'll tell you even if in some countries like the US, they've banned microbeads. These are the large pieces that are not banned in India yet, that you can still feel. But lots of cosmetic have microplastic that you cannot feel. That's so thin, you can't feel it. And so this is a brilliant way of kind of exploring how you can reduce and break the microplastic cycle. So Sea Change is an education program where we want to inspire and educate children about the ocean, about protecting the ocean and reducing plastic pollution. The target audience was quite unique. We're targeting 6th to 8th grade students in Indian government schools. This is about 10 to 13-year-olds. And the current reach right now, we've partnered with National Geographic Society and Tamil Nadu government and launched it to 13,500 government school students. The response was overwhelmingly positive. And we've translated that curriculum, which was initially in Tamil, the regional language from the States, into Hindi and English. And we've just done a pilot with 500 students from private schools. Today, my team finished the last lesson at the Lycée, a French private school in Pondy. And my team was telling me about how the students all had this sparkly eyes and they were educating their parents and peers. So at the end of the program, really they try to invite parents. So we make a very typical Tamil invitation, which is formal. The teacher splits up themes and students work in groups to educate their parents and peers. They make posters, demonstrations, and it's really an opportunity to flip the tables where children become the teachers. And it's very, very inspiring. And right now we're looking to scale this education and reach children all across India. It costs us about $18 to empower a student. And basically, when I look at the world today, 2025, 1/3 of the population, 1 in every 3 of us, that's 2.4 billion people in the world, are under 18. All of them could be potential superheroes for our planet. They could take up things, they could be educators. And this is really our dream at WasteLess. And I'd like to invite you to join us and help pave a path for a wasteless world. We'll put our contact details in the slides. So if you'd like to ask questions or want to partner with us, right now I'd like to open it for Q&A and would love to answer any questions or comments. Yeah, so feel free to unmute yourself if you have any questions or type them in the chat.
Yeah, can I go if anybody?
Hi, Shalini. Yes, please go ahead.
So, first, before I ask the question, I would like to highlight that I have been following these less different initiatives in YouTube as well as your website quite many years before, and I'm very much inspired, especially the initiative is very close because it's something which even I often think to go ahead with, but how you even the different I would say the hand-on tool, the learning tool which Wasteless team has developed. It's so creative at the same time. It focus on so many different elements, which is so important when you are getting engaged with the students, and that too in India. I come from an Indian education system. I know how diverse and how difficult it is to get with the government, especially the government schools and government different bodies, and implement those different initiatives. So first of all, congratulations from an Indian voice. Second, I would really wanted to know that why this initiative or this hand-on learning around waste is precisely with the age group of 11 or 14. Because
Great.
yeah, because I'm sorry if I am
Yeah,
interrupting.
please, please,
Yeah,
please.
because I personally find that this is the age group which is not of so like, please correct me if I'm wrong. Do they really think the way students of 9, 10th, 11, 12, like around the age group of 14 or 15, or like when they are about to make decisions about their profession, and they are start thinking about the planet, uh, do they such type of thinking is there at the age of 11 or 14, or so something like. I hope the question is clear. I may not be able to come up with exactly what I'm thinking, but yeah, setting.
No, thank you. Thank you, Shalini. And so wonderful that you've been following us on YouTube. And if you ever need any education materials, I would be more than happy to provide them to you.
Thank you
This
so
is a
much.
brilliant question. I think it's something we've struggled with for the last 13 years, Shalini. And if I paraphrase the question, it's why are we targeting, class 6, 7th, 8th, the 10 to 13-year-olds and not older students? Because they have more abilities and, are choosing their career and might be able to think more critically. Very, very good question. I think what we are seeing is there is a closeness to nature. This is what I've observed. There is a closeness to nature that starts to separate as children become older teens. And so that closeness to nature is a beautiful way, like two pieces of Velcro, to stick on science onto something they love. So the younger students tended to be more interested in environmental issues. What we also saw from school, Shalini ma'am, is that we got more class time before big important exams start, like the matriculation 10th standard or 12th standard exams. And so this was critical for us to be able to influence their beliefs, to get them to care, to love. It's not just understanding the facts. Someone told me today, we have enough awareness. And it's true. All of us know somehow that plastic is bad and plastic pollution is bad. But do we change? Do we act? And I believe that we act and change when we're touched, when somehow it sinks deeper into our consciousness. And so I think we need more time for that. And so the goal of doing, 6th, 7th, 8th standard for this program is that we had enough time. There is that connection to nature, and the students are able to vocalize and share what they're learning. So in the Sea Change celebrations at the end of their lessons, like they did today in Pondicherry, they're able to teach others. Younger students don't have that ability, and older students, we don't have the class time. And we're seeing that there's some kind of separation. They're more interested in iPhones and, the next Bollywood film than environmental issues as they get older. So that's kind of my answer. I hope I answered that question. But thank you. It was
That's I think that's amazing. Thank you so much, Vibhu, for but in another like a point which I would really wanted to know, that uh that there is a question which most of the time people come up when they look into the educational initiative, that such educational initiative is just for the sake of information or awareness, or do it really impact? Because this is one of our objective of Wasteless, that we reduce plastic at the end. So do we have any scale, or I think I also found uh you know a CO2 emission scale in Wasteless web page. I think I downloaded it, but it was a little difficult. I need some in future. I may write to you how to use it. And so I found that, do we have any report where we could really get this group of people into some kind of discussion? Because when I also engage in such kind of activities, the very first question the Nagar Nigam Municipal Corporation asks to me, okay, we are investing, we are giving you money and fund, but how could you say that on ground you're reducing plastic? Just for the awareness? Or will you really come up with some kind of conclusion and say that even when you are getting into some kind of discussion and activities with these group of the students, 11th and 13 or 14, and here you are talking about that you're helping in reducing the plastic waste, how is it working? How you're giving that equation to us?
Very good question. Again, you asked me a difficult question, but I'm glad to answer it. We're actually right now writing a white paper, so it's a policy document exactly on this. So we've done a detailed study, a detailed social impact study. We did something called a randomized control sample or randomized control trial, where we studied the pre and post test of a group of students that got the program and a group of students that did not get the program. And what we're seeing between these two groups is there's, of course, a huge increase in knowledge in the treatment group, so the students that get the program. And we're also seeing that there is an intention to change. So we believe that there's many steps in behavior based on Triandis's model of interpersonal, this theory of interpersonal change. And we believe that there's many steps in behavioral change, and one of them is intention. So they have to want to change. Their attitudes and beliefs have to change. And this is what we're seeing in Sea Change. Of course, we're not able to quantify with the current tools we have right now, what is the reduction in individual students' use, but we do check it at schools. For example, one school in Chennai that's implemented all of our programs started recycling and composting, and they're recycling about 93% of all their waste. Over the last 3 years, they've earned 28,000 rupees. And you'll see the amount they send to Chennai municipality is a small bucket. Well, at the start in 2013, before we started working with them, 500 kilos was going to the municipality daily. And so we are seeing that at the school level. And I remember Bina added a comment, thanks for your compliments here, Bina, but you also said that young students believe in magic. Have to add that in because that's also really important, why we target younger children. I see a question in the chat. The use of plastic water bottles is an epidemic. Can you partner with companies providing filtered drinking water in public spaces? They do these fountains in airports in the US now. Absolutely. We would love to do that, Julian. I think there was efforts here in Oroville to provide drinking water, from Aquadin. There was some efforts done in Pandi. We would absolutely love to partner. And it's these solutions that are so important to provide students and anyone, especially in tourist areas where you don't have your own water, you're traveling to provide them. But it's a brilliant idea, and I love seeing those initiatives pop up all around the world. Thank you for that comment and question. Are there any other questions? Please feel free to unmute yourself or write it in the comments, in the chat. Was anything new today? What was new and striking? Sveya, you raised your hand.
Yeah.
Hi.
Sorry, I can't see anyone but the person speaking, so I'm sorry. I don't have the app installed on this laptop. My question would be, if the subject of microplastic and the sea and so on, if that's a subject that's more touching and more fascinating than what the other projects were or what the other programs are about. And I was wondering whether you see a difference in how much students engage, because I feel like Sea Change is a bit more glamorous than the other one and a bit more mystical.
Yes. So for all of you listening, Sveya used to work with us. She was a Weltworths volunteer, I think 3-4 years ago. Is it longer? I've forgotten.
I think it's longer, 5 or 6.
5 years ago. And she went to one of the top unis in Germany. And we're really proud of what she's doing. So yes, the question, absolutely. I think this was around the time you were working with us. We were doing no plastics. And I don't know if you remember, but no plastics for everyone watching is a memory game. And when we asked them what was their favorite card, they would often pick up the ocean card. And they would often talk about how they love the ocean. And we saw that response from students as well, Svea, when they saw plastic in the ocean. In India, they were like, oh my God, that's not supposed to be there. And if you walk 50 meters inland and there was plastic littered, they wouldn't have that same response. So somehow it was our love for the ocean, like we were talking about earlier in the talk about how people feel that vastness and fresh and calm and, you know, feel like they're on holiday sometimes when they're at the sea. It's that love for the ocean that I think connects this issue of plastic pollution so much, and something we really tried to focus on in lesson 1. Like, I can talk about this forever, but we really asked them first. We had focus group discussions and we asked them first, what do they love about the sea? And girls were talking about how they love the sensation of their feet sinking into sand just as the sea kind of touches the beach. And inland, children were talking about splashing in rivers and ponds and losing track of time. And so it's these emotions that connect water bodies with the topic. And I think now, as we're growing and developing, Svea, you were working with us 5 years ago. And I think as we evolve, we're seeing that we need to move away from just facts and figures and a mental aspect of education. It has to connect with our hearts and what we love. So that's been a really, really exciting development of WasteLess, and we see it a lot. Yeah, thank you. Prashant, you asked a question. It's not, there's no dumb questions, but since you mentioned toothpaste earlier, because they're usually contained in plastic tubes, do they nearly all of them contain microplastic by default? It's actually a brilliant question. I've never thought of it, Prashant. So plastic, I was at a National Geographic conference 2 years ago and I met some of my superheroes, and one of them was a forensic scientist who studies microplastic. And she was telling me that plastic is breaking apart at every moment. Like if this shirt was blue, she'd be able to see blue specks I mean, this shirt is blue, but if it was microplastic, she'd be able to find little specks of microplastic all over this room right now. And so what's going to happen with your toothpaste tube, the inside of the tube will be lined with plastic, and that plastic will break apart. So you will find microplastic from the packaging. What's worse, Prashant, is that they intentionally add plastic, microplastic, the ones that you can't even detect by touch, into toothpaste. Lots of them. So I would really encourage you to download the Beat the Bead app. It's in our chat, so you can just follow it. You can download it for iOS and Android. And basically, you can take a picture of your toothpaste tube right after this conversation, scan it, and send me an email if they have microplastic. I'm struggling to find good toothpaste that my whole family likes without microplastic. So now I'm using the non-microplastic one, but my daughters want, they want the taste of the microplastic one. So I haven't been able to convince them yet. Great question.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you,
so much.
Prashant.
It also was an amazing presentation. I'll be referring your website and your work to all of my friends as well.
Thank you so much. Thanks for joining, Prashant, and let's stay in touch.
Thanks.
So we've gone on for half an hour. We wanted to continue this meeting for half an hour. Are there any other questions? It's been such a joy talking to all of you and sharing this work. We're deeply passionate about it. Svea, you have another question? Please ask us.
I would be wondering about the cooperation with National Geographic. In what way do they shape what the program is about or how it is spread?
Oh, wow. It's been a dream to get support from National Geographic Society. This was a call for a grant to protect the ocean from plastic pollution. So it was rather general, and they've been extremely supportive as a donor and as a family almost in this development. COVID happened, Svea. We were all stuck at home, like Maya, Chani, myself. We were all doing research apart. And this is when the donor at National Geographic Society was like, everyone should pivot. So a lot of people who were doing education grants were changing their grant request and saying, okay, we can't go to school, so we will make videos or we will do radio or something else. And I think what we saw, Svea, is that we have this model of testing and co-design with students that's really at the heart of our work. We want to involve not just scientists and teachers, but also students in shaping and designing those learning materials. And so we didn't want to pivot. We wanted to work with students. And we asked Nat Geo, can we wait until COVID is over? Because we believed it was going to be over. And they supported us. They actually gave us an extra grant to pilot test during COVID, like paid for masks and all that things, to keep students and our team safe. And they've been extremely supportive. They are a media company, so we're wrapping up the project now, and then they have first right of refusal to publish anything about the story. They've done a little video, I don't know if you saw it, it's from National Geographic India about sea change about 2 years ago. And we hope that they'll share more. I'm kind of trying on the side to get a group of all educators in Nat Geo, because there's some, like my superheroes are in that group. There's incredible people protecting elephants in Kenya, to tigers in India, to dinosaur bones in Mongolia. These are incredible people doing amazing work where education can play a role. And it's these things that I'm really, really excited about collaborating. Like the tool we made called a learning board, which Manas helped us inspire us design. These are pictures in the front with notes in the back for the teacher. And so it's like a PowerPoint, but can be used under the shade of a tree or in a government school with no power. And really interactive means you can prep. You're not reading a lesson plan. You're reading sentences and bullet points. So much easier for people to use. So this is where I hope a lot of collaboration will go in the next years, is how do we share innovation in education across different disciplines and fields? So that's really exciting with Nat Geo, and fingers crossed we keep engaging with them and working with this huge big family. Yeah. Thank you. So this was really a big pleasure. Louise is smiling, so I think I did okay without the PowerPoint. I hope you've enjoyed it. It was wonderful speaking to you. And if you have any questions, you can always email us or visit our website and reach out to us.
Can I ask the last question, if 1 minute, if I have?
Absolutely, absolutely, Shalini, go ahead.
How could we, like, from different states, if any individual would like to collaborate with and would like to take the WasteLess initiative to their state, or at least to their city level government, is there any kind of possibility?
Absolutely. Great question, Shalini. Yes, we have a kind of partnership agreement that we're working on. So you can get in touch with us. As a nonprofit, we're happy to share all of our content. And what we see is very important in all of our partnerships. Shalini, we just finished an amazing partnership with Kriti Karant, Dr. Kriti Karant, who's working around some of the top wildlife reserves in India. She's based in Karnataka, but they're working in Madhya Pradesh, Kerala, Tamil Nadu, and I'm not sure, other states as well. And so she wanted to adapt some of our content. So we worked with her teams to look at what content would suit their goals. And then they went through a process of translation. So there were several check-ins. And really useful is that we have designed this with students. So we understand what might work, and we can already give you and your team an idea of how you could pick and choose aspects of this curriculum to suit your own needs. And I would love to follow up on that conversation with you, Shalini. Get in touch anytime, please.
Sure. Okay. Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah.
And I see a question in the chat from Bina. How do we help you get your curriculum into more schools? Brilliant question as well. We would love to spread this to more schools. So right now we seek funding to support physical copies like this and send them to schools for free. We offer trainings. So one way is to donate, and once we have donations enough, and we're just starting to collect them, and we have English books at the moment, Bina, we can ship them to you and partner with the school. Right now, we're filming Sea Change teacher training videos. Actually, the filming is done. We're at the final stages of editing, so we can even train remotely and provide teachers with videos. And we're also looking at how do we partner with schools and school curriculums. This is the most exciting for us, is to partner with organizations that make books. And Bina, we've partnered with National Geographic Learning. They make brilliant textbooks. And they've just launched a book called Impact 2E, which is an ESL book, so in English as a second language book, and where there's a chapter on microplastic, inspired a lot by the work at Sea Change. And so this is our most exciting work, is if we can reach people that make books for more schools and share these powerful learnings, this is something we're really exciting. Prashant, yes, absolutely. We will email you the presentation, and anyone who wants to watch it can watch it. And yeah, that's why we recorded it.
Thanks so much. Yeah.
All right.